Think about yesterday, every decision you made, every word you said, every moment you hesitated or didn't. Now ask yourself this: could any of it have gone differently? Not would it have gone differently if you tried harder or paid more attention. I mean, could it have actually been different? Or was it all already decided before you even woke up? Most people don't like sitting with that question for too long. Because if the answer is no, if everything was already set, then what does that make you? Here's something you've probably felt but never said out loud. Sometimes you look back at your life and it feels like it couldn't have gone any other way. Like every choice led to the next choice and the next. And it was all just dominoes falling in a line you didn't set up. You tell yourself you could have studied something different or moved somewhere else or not sent that text or said yes instead of no. But deep down, you know, you were always going to do what you did because of who you are, because of how you were raised, because of what happened to you, because of 1,000 invisible things pushing you in one direction while you thought you were steering. And that feels weird, because on one hand it's kind of comforting, like maybe you're not failing, maybe you're just following a script that was written before you showed up. But on the other hand, it's terrifying, because if you're just following a script, then who wrote it? And are you even real? There was this guy in the 1700s who thought about this constantly. His name was Laplace. He was a mathematician, studied the stars and planets and how they moved, and one day he realized something that made him uncomfortable. If you know the position and momentum of every particle in the universe at one moment, and you know all the laws of physics, you could predict everything that would ever happen. Every decision, every thought, every war and love story and random Tuesday afternoon. It's all just particles bouncing off each other according to rules. And you, sitting here watching this, you're just particles too. Which means everything you're going to do for the rest of your life is already determined by the state of the universe right now. You just don't know what it is yet. Laplace called this determinism. And if he's right, free will is an illusion. You're not making choices. You're just experiencing the unfolding of a cosmic equation that started at the Big Bang. Okay, but that can't be right, because it feels like you're choosing. Right now you're choosing to keep watching or click away. You could stop, you could close this tab and go do something else. That's a choice, isn't it? Except, what made you interested in this topic? Your genetics? Your upbringing? Some conversation you had years ago? A mood you're in today because of how you slept last night, because of stress from last week, because of decisions you made months ago? None of that was in your control. It just happened to you. And all of it is what's making you choose to stay or go right now. So is it really a choice, or is it just the inevitable result of everything that came before? Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Scientists have done brain scans on people making decisions, and they found something strange. Your brain starts preparing for a decision several seconds before you feel like you decided. Several seconds. Which means the feeling of choosing, that moment where you think, okay, I'm going to do this, that feeling comes after your brain already committed. You're not making the decision. You're just becoming aware of a decision that already happened. Like you're a spectator in your own life, watching your brain do things and then taking credit for them. So what does that mean? If your brain decides before you do, then who are you? Some people hear this and they feel relieved. Like, oh good, nothing is my fault then. I'm just a passenger. I can relax. But that doesn't really work, does it? Because even if determinism is true, even if everything is just particles following rules, you still have to live. You still wake up every day and feel things and make what seem like decisions. And you can't just opt out. You can't just say, well, it's all determined anyway, so I'm not going to try. Because that decision, that giving up, that's part of the determinism too. You were always going to give up or not give up. There's no escape hatch. There was another thinker who sat with this problem, Schopenhauer. Miserable guy. Thought life was suffering. Not in a poetic way, in a factual way. And he believed in determinism. He thought your character, your personality, your wants and fears, all of that is fixed from birth. You can't change who you fundamentally are. You can only become more clearly what you already were. But here's the weird part. He also thought you could still find freedom, not by escaping determinism, by accepting it so completely that it stops bothering you, Like if you really understand that you couldn't have been anyone other than who you are, then you stop fighting yourself. You stop wishing you were different. You stop blaming yourself for things that were inevitable. And in that acceptance, there's a kind of peace, not the peace of control, the peace of surrender. I don't know if that's comforting or just depressing, because on one hand, yeah, maybe I should be gentler with myself. Maybe the reason I keep making the same mistakes isn't because I'm weak or lazy. Maybe it's because I'm running on programming I didn't write and can't rewrite. And recognizing that should make me kinder to myself and to other people who are also just doing what they were always going to do. But if I really believed that, would I still try? Would I still fight for things? Or would I just become passive, drifting through life like it doesn't matter what I do because it was all decided anyway? Here's the thing nobody tells you about determinism. Even if it's true, you can't live like it's true. Not really. Because the moment you have to make a decision, even a small one, you feel the weight of it. You feel like it matters, like you could go left or right and it would change things. And you can tell yourself it's all an illusion, that the decision was already made by physics and chemistry and your past, but in that moment it doesn't feel like an illusion. It feels real. And maybe that's the point. Maybe the truth doesn't matter as much as the feeling. There's this thing philosophers call compatibilism. It's the idea that determinism and free will can both be true at the same time. How? Well, they redefine free will. They say free will doesn't mean you could have done otherwise. It just means you did what you wanted without being forced by someone else. Like if you choose chocolate ice cream because you love chocolate, that's free will. Even if your love of chocolate was determined by your genes and childhood and a million other things you didn't control, you still chose it. Nobody held a gun to your head. That's enough. And honestly, I think that might be the closest we get to an answer. Because here's what I've noticed. When I look back at my life, it feels inevitable, like I was always going to end up here. All the random accidents and choices and failures and luck, it all led to this exact moment. And I can't imagine it going any other way, but when I look forward, it doesn't feel inevitable at all. It feels open, like anything could happen. Like the future is mine to shape, even though the past was completely out of my control. And maybe that's the paradox we live in. The past feels determined, the future feels free, and the present is this weird space where we're simultaneously trapped and liberated. So is everything determined? I don't know. Maybe. Probably. But I also don't think it matters as much as we think it does. Because even if every particle in your body is just following the laws of physics, even if your thoughts are just chemical reactions you didn't choose, you still feel like a person. You still want things and fear things and hope for things, and you still have to live like those things matter. You still have to get up tomorrow and decide what to do, even though maybe it's already decided. And maybe that's okay. Maybe we don't need cosmic freedom. Maybe we just need the feeling of freedom. The feeling that our choices are ours, even if they're not. The feeling that we're steering, even if we're just along for the ride. Here's what I think determinism gets right. You are not in total control. Most of what shapes your life is outside your hands. Your genetics, your childhood, your brain chemistry, random luck, timing, other people's decisions. You didn't choose any of that. And pretending you did just makes you cruel to yourself and others. But here's what I think determinism gets wrong. It makes you think nothing you do matters. And that's not true either. Because even if you were always going to do what you're doing, you're still doing it. And it still affects things. And you still have to live with the consequences. So you might as well show up. You might as well try. Not because you have some magical freedom to override the universe, but because trying is what you do. It's part of the equation. Right now you're deciding whether this video was worth your time. Maybe that decision was made before you clicked. Maybe every neuron firing in your brain right now was set in motion billions of years ago. Or maybe, just maybe, there's a tiny sliver of space where you're actually free, where the universe pauses for half a second and waits to see what you'll do. You'll never know for sure, but you still have to choose, or at least feel like you're choosing. And maybe that's close enough. So, what are you going to do next? Whatever it is, you were probably always going to do it. But it's still yours.